big changes, they are coming. Now, I'm not talking about recession. I'm actually talking about population shift. I'm talking shrinking superpowers and then exploding growth in places that you may have never expected. Big question, what does it mean for your money? I'm Chris Hobart, the Wealthologist, and today we're going to be diving into a topic that you really didn't think would affect your wallet, which is babies, or I guess probably a little bit more the lack thereof. You see, global population, the trends are shifting fast, and this is going to impact everything from Social Security to your stock portfolio. So let's unpack what's happening before it hits your finances. Welcome back to the Wealthologist Weekly. I'm Chris Hobart, the Wealthologist. Now, this week, we're talking about something you probably didn't see coming, which is global population trends. Sounds kind of boring, but I got to tell you, not even close. In fact, this stuff is absolutely wild. And more importantly, man, it's going to hit you right in the 401k. First, I want to talk with you about what's called the baby bust. So let's go back to 1964. At that time, the world's population growth was cruising at over 2% a year. Now, if we fast forward to now, today, we're hovering around 1%. Now, the average global fertility rate, it's dropped from 4.85 kids per woman in 1950 to about 2.25 today. All right, so what does that translate? Well, fewer workers, more retirees per worker, and a major strain on the system that we have built and we tend to rely on. So the question is, who's going to win and who's going to lose in this? Well, let's start with geography. Africa, right? Massive growth, over 122% by 2075. Nigeria, Ethiopia, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo, folks, absolutely booming. Now, meanwhile, you got countries like China and Japan and Italy, they're shrinking kind of like, I don't know, like cashmere in the hot wash. China alone is projected to lose a third of its population. Now, the big question is, what does this mean for money? And I think this is really where it hits home and where we've got to pay attention. Fewer young people mean fewer workers. Got it. That impacts tax revenue, Social Security, healthcare systems, and even market performance. So if you're invested in global companies or thinking about retirement income strategies, you need to account for this shift. I'm watching this as really both as a financial advisor and a dad. Aging populations could mean higher taxes and lower economic growth in the West, but it also means opportunities, especially in countries that might be, welcoming to immigrants like Canada and the U.S., which are still projected to grow. All right, so some action steps for us to think about. First, I want you to review your international investments. Are they future focused? The thing is, don't sleep on immigration policy because it affects labor markets, it affects housing, and it impacts your investments as well. I want you to think long term because these trends unfold over decades, but the smart money gets in early. Now, my question for you is, what's your gut reaction? Are you more worried about your retirement, your kids' future, or your investment portfolio with these shifts going on into the future? All right, folks, hit that like button if this got your wheels turning and got you thinking. Subscribe if you don't want to miss what's going on with your money, and drop your thought below. Let's talk about the future kind of like your money depends on it, because, well, it kind of does. See you next week.